It was late afternoon, and the sun painted golden streaks across the trees in Fairview Park. The place buzzed with life. Kids racing around the swings, joggers gliding along the trails, and couples sharing quiet conversations on benches. Malik, a 16-year-old high school junior, walked along the gravel path with his backpack slung over one shoulder. He wasn't there to enjoy the park. It was just a shortcut on his way to pick up groceries for his mom. Halfway through the park, something unusual caught his attention. On a weathered wooden bench near the playground sat a small, tan leather purse. It looked out of place, almost abandoned. Malik paused. His instincts told him to keep walking. It wasn't his business, but curiosity, or maybe his sense of right and wrong, got the better of him. Looking around, he saw no one who seemed to be searching for anything. Slowly, he approached the bench and picked up the purse. It was light but sturdy, with a few scuffs on the corners. His heart beat a little faster as he unzipped the main compartment. Inside, he found a wallet, a set of keys, and a folded receipt. A driver's license peeked out of the wallet. The photo showed a middle-aged woman with soft blonde hair and kind eyes. Margaret Parker. He read her name and address. Then he glanced again around the park. Still, no one seemed to notice or care about the purse. He sighed. This wasn't what he planned for his day, but he couldn't leave it there. Shoving the purse into his backpack, Malik resolved to find its owner. The walk home felt heavier than usual, as if the purse carried more than just its contents. Malik sat at the small dining table in his family's kitchen, the purse resting in front of him. His younger sister, Amara, peered at it with wide eyes, her curiosity barely contained. "Did you find that? Is it full of money?" she asked. Leaning closer, Malik shook his head, pulling out the wallet to show her. "No, it belongs to someone. Margaret Parker. Look, her ID's right here." Amara wrinkled her nose. "So, what are you going to do with it?" "Return it," he said firmly, though the words felt heavier than he expected. It wasn't as simple as it sounded. His mom, wiping her hands on a dish towel after her shift, glanced over. "You're doing the right thing, Malik, but be careful, okay? Not everyone trusts folks knocking on their door, especially not strangers." Malik nodded. He knew what she meant, even if she didn't say it outright. But something in him couldn't let it go. Margaret Parker had to be worried sick about losing her purse, especially with her ID and keys inside. The next morning, after double-checking the address, Malik hopped on his bike. He pedaled through the neighborhood, the autumn air crisp against his face as he rode. His nerves started to build. What if she didn't believe him? What if she thought he'd stolen it? The thought made him hesitate for a moment, but he pushed forward. He had made up his mind. When he reached Margaret Parker's house, a modest brick home with a porch swing swaying gently in the breeze, he took a deep breath. Standing there with the purse in hand, he rang the doorbell and waited. The sound of hurried footsteps approached, and the door swung open to reveal Margaret herself. Her expression shifted instantly from suspicion to relief and finally to gratitude. "Oh my goodness," she said, her voice trembling. "You have no idea how worried I've been." Malik held out the purse. "I found it at the park. I figured you'd want it back." Margaret took it from him, her hand shaking slightly. She opened it, checking the contents, then looked up at him with watery eyes. "Everything's here. You didn't take anything?" Malik shook his head. "No, ma'am. I just wanted to make sure it got back to you." For a moment, Margaret just stared at him, her expression unreadable. Then she smiled, a genuine, warm smile that made Malik feel lighter. "Thank you," she said softly. "Thank you so much." Margaret stepped aside, gesturing for Malik to come in. "Please, at least let me get you something to drink. You've gone out of your way to do this." Malik hesitated, glancing at his bike parked by the sidewalk. "I'm okay. Really. I just wanted to make sure you got it back." But Margaret was insistent. "I won't take no for an answer. Just a moment of your time." Reluctantly, Malik followed her inside. The house was cozy, filled with the scent of freshly brewed coffee and hints of lavender. Margaret motioned for him to sit at the small kitchen table, and he did so awkwardly, unsure where to place his hands. She returned with a glass of lemonade and a small plate of cookies. "Here," she said, setting them in front of him. It's the least I can do. As Malik sipped the lemonade, Margaret sat across from him, her eyes still scanning the purse in disbelief. I was convinced it was gone forever. My whole life is in here. My ID, my cards, even a picture of my husband. She hesitated, her gaze lingering on the photo as her voice softened. He passed away a few years ago. I keep his picture with me everywhere I go. When I realized the purse was missing, her words trailed off, and she pressed her lips together to stop them from trembling. Malik shifted in his seat, uncomfortable yet empathetic. I'm sorry about your husband, he said quietly. Margaret smiled faintly, brushing a tear from the corner of her eye. You've done more than you know. Malik, I want to give you something for your trouble. She reached into the purse and pulled out a crisp $20 bill. Malik's hands shot up in protest. No, ma'am. I can't take that. I didn't do it for money. But you deserve it, she insisted. Malik shook his head firmly. My mom always says we should do the right thing, no matter what. I wanted to help. Margaret studied him for a long moment, her expression shifting to one of quiet admiration. Well, she said, tucking the bill back into her purse. Then maybe there's another way I can help you. Malik blinked, confused. What do you mean? Margaret didn't answer right away. Instead, she leaned back in her chair, a thoughtful look crossing her face.